Well, hello, hello, hello. I'm going to give everyone a couple of minutes a minute or two just to hop on. Welcome to Resilience This Week, the live stream. This is Stacy Brookman, Resilience and Life Storytelling expert. And this is the live show that helps you become a more resilient person. And so I'm going to check and make sure all the streams are working so far. We've got some really great things in store for you today. Wanted to make sure. I've got a really interesting question as well. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. It's always lovely to see yourself. Anyway, yes, so we're diving in this week to figure out whether you have ever indulged in a relationship that interfered with your friends and family. We're going to talk about how to cope with the problems about that when they occur, and how to notice when a relationship is interfering with your friends and family, as well as some tips on resilience and aging. So stay tuned. I hope you'll enjoy and join us for the entire show. And of course, we'll have our mystery mail with viewers' reactions and take your comments and questions. So welcome. Again, I'm Stacy Brookman, life storytelling and resilience expert and host of the Real Life Resilience podcast. That podcast, you are going to just stay tuned because we're going to release several episodes at once in the upcoming week. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait for you to hear some of these folks that I have interviewed, and they're really, really cool people who have overcome a lot of things. So lots of experts coming up as well. So our question of the day is, have you ever had a relationship that's pulled you away from family and friends? I'd love to know down in the comments. Just say yes or no if you've had one in the past or whatever. Have you ever had a relationship that's pulled you away from friends and family? Even if you're watching this on the replay, I'd love for you to answer that one in the comments below. You know, most of us desire a perfect relationship, but we also need friends and family. And we can't simply choose one and leave the other because we need community. But to live peacefully, we need to learn how to juggle between the two. So the question is, have you ever had a relationship that's pulled you away from friends and family? And if so, that's actually a red flag because most people need friends and family. And if you have a person who is saying, hey, it's me or them, or at first they charmed your family and now they're saying, oh, they don't really love you, they don't care about you, etc., then that is a red flag. That is someone who is a narcissist trying to pull you and trying to alienate you from your support system, from your friends and your family. And my advice to you in that case is to start making connections again. Start reconnecting, no matter how long it's been. I have a friend, sometimes we don't talk for a year, and it's okay when we call each other up because we reconnect. And that's perfectly normal, perfectly okay. Just say, hey, I've been out of touch for a while, I know, but I'd love to reconnect. And can we do virtual coffee? And maybe just do coffee by the phone, or you can do it by Skype, however you want to. Just reconnect, and don't hide from things. Don't hide yourself from other people, and just don't hide. Because when you hide things, when you sweep things under the rug, when you just want to show everything that's perfect, that is a huge red flag, and you're not being authentic, and you're really hurting yourself. So I want you to take a good hard look at that, and maybe you've had one of those relationships in the past. I know I certainly have in the past had a relationship, and he alienated me from my friends and family and all kinds of other things. But that's repairable. Just start noticing that, and then reach out and say, hey, I'm sorry I haven't been in touch. Let's talk, or I'd love to reconnect. And you can certainly do that. A lot of times it's shame that's involved because you have put other people at a distance, and you need to get over that shame. It's okay. Maybe you're wondering how you can explain to them the issues that you've had, or the problem that you've had, or the tough relationship that's been up and down and up and down. I get it. I know. I've been there. But it's really amazingly good to reconnect. You won't regret it. So wanted to actually, gosh, hold on, need my keys. There we go. There's my Resilience This Week live stream. I love that. I go live each Saturday, except for, last Saturday and the Saturday before, because I was out of town. This Saturday I had a little glitch this morning. I had some errands I had to take care of, but we've just, I wanted to try different times anyway on Saturday, so this worked out. Glad you're here with me, and glad you're listening to Real Resilience This Week. So we have a blog article this week, and it might just hit home for you. It's called 5 Ways to Stay Calm When Your Life is in Serious Chaos. Actually, I posted this over on Facebook, over on LinkedIn as well, and it got lots of great comments, because sometimes you can't see your way out. Sometimes life is so chaotic, you're not sure exactly what to do. So you've got to learn how to stay calm, because chaos sucks. It really does. And practically nobody escapes childhood without some chaos. Nobody escapes adulthood without some sort of chaos. And so let's talk about what we can do about it. These are 5 ways to stay calm, because when you're calm, you can think through what to do. You can be more rational and respond appropriately. And so the first thing is to understand the process of processing. And don't worry, I'm going to post this link in the comments below here after the live stream. But I just wanted to help you see that there are 5 different ways to stay calm when your life is in serious chaos and you don't know what to do. So the first thing is understand the process of processing. There are several different stages to go through. You might skip some, you might just get stuck in one of them. This is a little bit different than the stages of grief, but you still go through some distinct stages. And the stages are loss. You've lost something. You've lost yourself, perhaps. You've lost an opportunity. There are lots of things that you can lose. And then uncertainty. And I actually stay stuck in uncertainty a lot of times, because you're not sure which path to take. Then this discomfort, because you're like, I don't know what to do. This chaos is piling up, because if you don't address it right away, it does pile up. And then as you have enough discomfort, then you gain maybe some insight, and you've got to move into these last stages. You really do. So you're like, okay, take time to stop and think through, okay, how did this chaos come about? What is made up of this chaos? What are the components of the chaos? What do I have control over? What are the pain points, and what do I have control over? So you start gaining some insight into what you might be able to do to move forward. And that's really great. Sometimes when you're in chaos, it's just so chaotic up in your head or in your life, etc. You don't take the time to think through and stop and say, okay, what are the origins of this chaos? What's its origin story? And you can really gain some insight in there. And then from there, understanding. You might be able to do some research about, okay, let's do some Google, call Dr. Google about this, and find out, okay, yeah, I get this. This is why this is happening. And then integration. And integrating is figuring out, okay, what is a possible solution? And maybe it's not getting back to normal, but it's getting back to a new normal. And actually, one of our articles today talks about a new normal. And that's integrating whatever it is, the chaos, the things that you don't have control over, integrating that in your life. So actually, that's just number 1, understand the process of processing. We've got several other ideas here. First of all, take up training. I know I harp on this, but exercise is so good. Even if it's just a walk, a 10-minute walk outside, it's really, really helpful. Calms your brain and creates endorphins, and then you get into a routine. And I've done this with my daughter. I go walking for 15-20 minutes midday, and it's become a routine, and I love it. There's something about being outside in nature that really calms you down and creates relaxation. So when you take up training, you don't have to go hard at it. You don't have to be an American Ninja warrior or anything like that. But even a little bit of exercise boosts your brain power and self-confidence and your mood, and maybe that's what you need. Find a sounding board. There was a Harvard Business Review study done, and it said that when life's chaos compounds, and of course job stress, does that as well. You've got to maybe find a sounding board that you can bounce ideas off of. And this is because when you are, in chaos, you're talking to yourself and you're letting that negative thoughts talk to yourself. Remember I said, and that was a couple of weeks ago, say, talk back to that mean girl voice in your head. And you've got to say, stop, it's okay, whatever's happening, I understand, I get it. Perhaps I caused it, perhaps I didn't, perhaps I played a little part in it, but stop being mean to yourself. Stop saying, I can't handle this. Stop saying, I'm overwhelmed, I just want to crawl under the covers. Just start with yourself and start talking nicer to yourself and being nice. And then find somebody who cares, somebody who is trusted, and somebody, oops, that's my dog. Apparently somebody came to the door. Anyway, find somebody who can hold your story and be and hold it in their hands without judgment, and just be a sounding board. Sometimes you can't see the way things look from the outside, and you just need that sounding board. So that's a fabulous idea. Number 4 is choose your attitude. You can, sometimes people say, oh, choose an attitude of gratitude or whatever. Just find something positive you can think about every day. Doesn't mean everything's hunky-dory, doesn't mean everything's perfect or everything's going to turn out, like a Cinderella story. Probably it won't. But find something positive, and because it's really easy to start being negative and then going downhill really quickly. So choose your attitude, because guess what? You are in charge of your attitude. Nobody else is. And you're not in charge of anybody else's attitude. A lot of times the chaos is brought on by some other person, and don't take that on. Just stop and think, okay, am I taking on this other person's attitude or this other person's chaos? And then you can stop that. When you really pause to think about what the origins of this chaos are, what the origins are, perhaps it's somebody else's chaos that you have adopted, and you can unadopt that really easy. So start with that. And then finally, of course, one of my favorite things is to write your life stories. Write down the chaos. A lot of times when you have chaos, you start forgetting things. There's brain fog. That's understandable, but what you can do is start writing down things that you do, things that you know, things that happen in your life. You can do journaling. You can do free writing. One of the things I did was I wrote a poem about what my life theme was up until that point in time when I was in serious chaos. You can also write letters. Write letters to yourself, write letters to your friends, your family members, and just you don't even have to mail them, but just hold them and get all that chaos out of your head. So anyway, that is the blog post of the week. It's called 5 Ways to Stay Calm When Your Life is in Serious Chaos. And I will post the link there down below as soon as this live stream is over. All right, so let's take a look, see if we have any comments. Not yet. Love everybody who is watching now, everybody who's watching the replay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's talk about the podcast of the week. This is Writing Trumps Trauma. Let me unsuspend all these tabs here. Writing Trumps Trauma. This is one of my favorites. Actually, they're all my favorites. But Anais Salibian was actually my writing teacher when I was going through chaos, and she taught me all about how writing can get you through trauma. And the trauma can be a chaotic relationship. It can be a really bad medical diagnosis. But writing about those things, writing about your feelings about what's happening, is incredibly beneficial. There's a lot of research. In fact, on this page, and I'll put this down in the comments as well, on this page you'll find a download of resources of books that she used and she uses to teach. So that's really a fabulous resource for yourself as well. So you can go to this page and listen to it, Writing Trumps Trauma. Anais does a lot of body work too, because there's a lot of mind-body connection, and the nervous system and things like that. And so she's just an amazing person, has done a lot of research herself around this, and really a fabulous writer too. So she talks about getting started writing about your life, and she says write as if you have a body. Whatever you put down, it should be through the 5 senses. And the reason for this is you start to recognize those 5 senses. What am I feeling in my body at the time? What am I touching? What am I smelling? What am I hearing? What am I seeing? And even what am I tasting? At that moment in time. Like, for instance, I'm drinking some adaptogen coffee right now, and I could write about that and how it tasted, because those are the things we remember and that we bring into the future with us. Sometimes we forget some of the facts, but we remember, and these 5 senses bring back the facts, some of those facts. So, what her take-home message was articulate out loud what your experience is, and that immediately de-stresses the body and allows for healing. So often when we experience a jolting experience, for instance, maybe a car crash, or even watching a car crash, or someone yelling at us, or a really negative experience, or even trauma, maybe you're in a really tough relationship, writing it out and articulating it out loud really helps the body adjust to that and de-stress. And you need to de-stress to help that chaos in your head as well. And then she says, when you're able to craft a story of something that's happened to you, it gives you authority over that thing that's overwhelmed you in the past. You gain power over it. We've talked about this before. Really, instead of that issue or that thing or that experience having power over you, you have power over it. You're rewriting that story, and you're getting that out of your head and down. There's something that happens in our brains when we experience trauma. It's stored in a different part of our brain than regular memories, but when you write about it, it's moved over to the regular part of your brain where memories are stored normally, so it can fade. But you've got to write through that in order to get to that point. All right, let's see what comments we have. Casey, life can be hard, but God is good all the time. Amen. That is so true. God is good all the time. In fact, when I was going through some of my tough stuff, that was my mom's mantra to me that helped comfort me almost every day. God is in control. God is in control. God is good. And Mary says, I'm starting to go to the gym and walking again because it really does relax me. I'm telling you, for the longest time, I'm thinking you read all these articles that say that, and you don't really integrate it into your life. But it is a game changer, even just walking, especially walking in nature. And Mary also says, I love that you need to talk to that mean girl in your head. That mean girl in my head has been very mean to me today. Oh, I'm so sorry about that, Mary. You talk back to that girl, that mean girl. You are enough. You are good enough. And I hope you don't let that mean girl be in charge of yourself. You take control back. Casey says, writing it helps process everything and it helps you understand where you are and where you've been. Yeah, it really, really does, because a lot of times we experience things and then we hide it from ourselves. We're like forgetting it. We don't really forget it, but it's tucked back in a portion of our brains where we don't really know where it's at, but it can and it will come back out. So what writing does, like I said, it loses its power, and you start to say, okay, for instance, what I did was when I started writing, I'm like, oh, this is how I got into this really bad relationship. Now I'm understanding when I experienced that I should have known all along. Well, when you're in trauma and you're going through a narcissistic abusive relationship, you don't know. But I started to see how in the world a professional person like myself got into that. And then I could see exactly the steps I needed to take to get out. And it actually gave me the courage to do just that. And so writing really is miraculous. Love it. Okay, so I am going to go on to the first news segment. And this is, I just saw this morning. I'm like, I've got to bring this to you guys today because I'm always curious. And so I subscribe to Curiosity newsletter. They also have a little, like a little short 5 or 10 minute podcast saying the same thing, basically taking the articles that they write. But I always love to go down rabbit trails with them because they have fascinating things. So this article is, these are the personality traits shared by people who live past 90. So I was curious, and lo and behold, resilience is one of those things. So I'm going to go scroll down here. Here's the 7-ish habits of centenarian people. And so they took they have these blue zones where people regularly live over 100, and so they're very incredibly healthy, and they're really good. And so they did a study, and it was a longer life was strongly correlated with life-affirming mental states. So even though, and they found that that health did not correlate with that, even if your health is failing, as long as your mental state was life-affirming, you were going to live longer. And so look right here, the very first one is resilience. The belief that you can withstand the obstacles that get in your way was really high on that list, along with optimism. And you know what? If you haven't been an optimistic person or a resilience person so far in your life, that's okay. You can learn to be more resilient. You can learn to be optimistic. And optimism is the belief that things will generally go well. Now, if you've had a lot of negative experiences, your brain's probably telling you, yeah, things are going to be bad, or I'm never going to find an amazing person to spend the rest of my life with. Your optimism kind of goes down, but you can learn and you can practice that optimism and resilience, and it's strongly correlated with overall happiness. So don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in criticism. Don't get stuck in cynicism. Get stuck in resilience and optimism, and that is a prescription for living a very long and happy life, because you want to live a long life and be happy at the same time. So that was a good. I'm going to post this link also in the notes below. And let's go on to this next one. I love Psychology Today. They have such fabulous articles as well. This one is Aging, Resilience, and the New Normal. So this article is all about when you go through something, whether it be an injury, whether it be something traumatic, typically people want to get back to where they were. And often that's just not possible. What you might want to do is think about, okay, what is the new normal I want to get to? Maybe you're not able to move around as good as you can. I have an amazing aunt, and she has gone through multiple hip surgeries, and 3 hip surgeries on one of her hips and 1 surgery on the other. Just problems after problems. And she is just a go-getter. I mean, she travels, she does all the kinds of things, and her new normal is not being able to bend down as much and not being able to do quite as much. So she still has joie de vivre, so a love of life. She still wants to travel and finds ways to do it. She still tends to her garden. She just needs a little bit more help than she used to. So that's her new normal, and she's still happy, even though she's not able to do as much as she used to in the past. So this was a great article about finding your new normal. I'm going to go scroll down to the bottom. Let me see. Where was it? There was something on here. Dun, dun, dun. New normal. Yeah, so here it is. So the new normal, I'm just quoting from this article, is for older adults is to be actively engaged in the world via personal mobility, planned activities, or technology. In fact, what they're talking about here is, the world sometimes tries to pass us by. Maybe, the invention of computers, the invention of smartphones. And I was just talking with my daughter today. I'm like, wonder what 10 years from now I will struggle with in technology, and like holographs or whatever. And I'm going to conquer that. I'm going to figure that out. And so as we age, we need to understand what there is a new normal, and we need to move into that new normal. So that was a fabulous article as well. All right. So let me look at the comments. Oh, Mary says she has to go. Yes. Casey, thank you for inviting Mary. Thank you all. I appreciate your comments and connecting with me here. I really love that. We are also live on YouTube, thankfully. Hey, YouTube. Glad to see you are here. If you are just a first-time person here, go ahead and hit subscribe and the little bell button. You'll be notified, because in YouTube, I am going to be uploading some really cool Q&A videos that are coming up, and it's really going to be amazing. You're going to love these. All about resilience, narcissistic relationships, all different kinds of things. Okay, so thank you, Casey. I appreciate that. Appreciate your comments. Okay, so mystery mail. By the way, it's mystery mail time, but if you want notifications of when I go live, if you're on Facebook, just type in live, L-I-V-E, in the comments, and my little Stacy bot will let you know whenever I go live. And it's been a little sporadic lately. Eventually, I am going to be on a regular schedule. But if you're watching me on YouTube, just click that subscribe button down below and hit the bell icon to be notified. All right, I really appreciate all of my fans. I am very thankful for everyone who's watching live, everybody who's watching the replay, and also sharing the show with your friends who might want to be more resilient as well. Okay, so now it's time for our mystery mail segment, and that's where I go through our social media and share some intriguing inquiries and comments from listeners. So Caroline D. Braganza was concerned. She said, I wrote a little about emotional abuse in response to Nicole's story. What it's like to cut off a parent. So Caroline, she said, what you have written here encouraged me to write more about it. Thank you for that, and thank you for the follow. And then she tried to get on the webinar. I was having some technical difficulties with that. So Caroline, thank you so much, and I'm glad you're writing about that. And I think there needs to be more people writing about those tough relationships, because it brings them out in the open and it shines a light on them, and it heals you as well. So way to go, Caroline. Thank you so much. Now, Christy was interesting. She said the narcissistic sociopath sociopaths in general, the subject fascinates me. She said, I look forward to reading more of your discussions on this topic. Well, thank you, Christy. I'll soon have more resources over on my website. You might have noticed I am now putting out a blog post every single week. Yay! So I'm getting regular on that. Working on the podcast. Actually, the podcast should go live, I'm hoping, this upcoming week with several episodes so you can binge watch. If you've already watched all the other original episodes, that's great. If not, go back and listen to those. Those are some really cool things like Anais Salibian. So you can see those over on stacybrookman.com and look for more resources here coming up in the future. I am working on something really amazing, and I will announce it as soon as I'm ready. So just to summarize our question of the day, it's interesting. The question is, have you ever had a relationship that's pulled you away from friends and family? And if so, you might be kind of thinking, yeah, you know, I've had that relationship before. Just take a look internally. Are you in a codependent relationship with somebody who is a narcissist? And that is highly likely if someone has alienated you. And you might think it's your fault. You might think, they might have turned you against your friends and family. And you might just look around and say, wow, I am all alone except for this one person I'm in a relationship with. And if so, that's not really healthy. You need a community, you need friends, and you need family. So I encourage you to get help with that. We also shared 5 ways to stay calm when your life is in serious chaos. So go over and take a look at that blog post. And how writing trumps trauma with the podcast with Anais Salibian, personality traits of those over 90 or even over 100, and aging and resilience. Of course, we also had the Everfun Mystery Mail Review. I really hope you'll join me every single week here on Facebook and here on YouTube. And this is for Resilience this week. Tips and tricks. If you have any tips and tricks for resilience, I would love to know them. I'd love to call you out. So go ahead and share your tips down below in the comments, and maybe on the next live stream, I will mention your name. All right, again, if you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe down below, hit the bell icon to be notified. I really appreciate all of my fans. I will catch you next week on Resilience This Week. Oh, by the way, we've got lots of resources over on the website, stacybrookman.com. You're going to find some free downloads and other resources that you might find interesting or helpful in your quest for resilience. Thanks for watching Resilience This Week.